and welcome. Today is International Day of Persons Living with Disabilities. This day has been promoted by the United Nations since 1992 and has been in observance all over the world with a great degree of success. We mark this day to raise awareness to the fact that not all disabilities are visible. Therefore, as a church, won't you join in with us to celebrate and support all those living among us that has a disability. God bless you and thank you.
Brain injury, diabetes, blood disorders, ADHD. These are just some examples of invisible disability. An invisible disability is a disability that cannot be seen with the naked eye. It is estimated that 1 in 5 people in the UK alone have a disability, and 80% of those are invisible disabilities. Not all disabilities are visible.
The poem I would like to do for you, it's called Who Will, Regardless of. Who? Who will be our thoughtful minds to think kindly of us, regardless of? Who? Who will be our watchful eyes to watch carefully over us, regardless of? Who? Who will be our active ears to listen keenly and understand us, regardless of? Who? Who will be our constant mouth to speak nicely to us and for us, giving us praises and encouragements to enhance our growth, regardless of? Who? Who will be our strong hands to work with us, molding us in becoming the best men and women of tomorrow, regardless of? Who? Who will be our steadfast feet to guide us to a better path in love, teaching us to climb the ladder of success one step at a time, regardless of? Who? Who will be our dependent arm to protect us, comfort us, and shield us, regardless of? Who? Who will be our wise heart, the heart of love, who thinks only of the individual and not themselves, regardless of? Who will?
Greetings to everyone in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. It's an honor for me to be sharing in the International Day of Persons with Disabilities 2022 in the Church of God Seventh Day British Conference hosted by the Inclusive Ministry with the theme, Not All Disabilities Are Visible. Globally, the theme this year is Transformative Solutions for Inclusive Development, the Role of Innovation in Fueling an Accessible and Equitable World. In 1992, the United Nations implemented the annual observance of the International Day of Persons with Disability on the 3rd of December. The objective for the observance of the day is to foster an understanding of the issues regarding disability and to encourage and organize support for the dignity, well-being, and the rights of persons with disabilities. The 2022 Global Observance to commemorate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities will be the focus of the overarching theme of innovation and transformative solutions for inclusive development, covering 3 foci. Number 1, innovation for disability, inclusive for development in employment. 2, innovation for disability, inclusive development in reducing inequality. 3, innovation for disability, inclusive development using sports as a case study. Undoubtedly, the church can become a leading partner in executing these 3 significant themes relating to the innovative and transformative solution in the areas of employment, reducing inequality, and fostering inclusive development. This year's observance of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities 2022 is not just another international day. Rather, it is a marker for a great movement that intends to demolish the numerous barriers to inclusion and becoming a powerful ongoing voice advocating for the rights and dignity of people with disabilities. It is important that we take careful note that not all disabilities can be seen. As such, unseen disabilities can be more puzzling and harder to be determined by many people with a variety of medical conditions falling into this category. With both seen and unseen disabilities, a person may have been born with it or it may have been acquired as a result of a degenerative of an existing medical condition or as a result of an accident. Some unseen disabilities are dyslexia and dyspraxia, obsessive compulsive disorder, post traumatic stress disorder, depression and other mental health conditions, Crohn's disease, chronic fatigue syndrome, and chronic pain. Consequently, these and other such unseen disabilities are easily overlooked, misunderstood, and as such, not sufficiently catered for. According to the Office for National Statistics for their Families Resource Survey 2028 to 2019, 14.6 million disabled people live in the United Kingdom. That means 1 in 5 person. 21% working age adults are disabled. 42% of pension age adults are disabled. 40% of households have at least one disabled person. Therefore, it is a duty of all of us to be sensitive to all, but especially to those with disabilities and additional needs. Jesus had a come one, come all policy, including people with disabilities, as he ministered to the needs of humanity while he was on earth. No one was left behind. Likewise, as a church, we need to embed this approach in its culture, policies, leadership, and services. The inclusive ministry of the Church of God Seventh day British Conference arises today to honor the lives of the members of our church family and community in general who live with disabilities. We also acknowledge and support those who care for people with disabilities. Again, according to the Office of National Statistics, for the year ending March 2021, 15.1% of disabled people aged 16 years and above in England reported feeling lonely often or always, which was over 4 times that of non disabled people at 3.6%. In addition, the effect of the COVID-19 and the wars in Ukraine and Russia and other places on the narrative of unseen disabilities is yet to be fully understood and unpacked and accounted for. It is true that even in the church, people with disabilities and additional needs can sometimes feel unseen, isolated, and even downright discriminated against. Consequently, let's commit and or recommit today to intentionally practice the golden rule of loving others as we would love to be treated. Our church is called to be a space where people who live with varying degrees of disabilities can be both seen, heard, protected, valued, and utilized. To those living with disabilities, seen and unseen, we are reminding everyone today that you are unconditionally loved, valued by God, and He has a great plan for your lives. Agreeably, as a church and the wider society too, we have a lot of work to do to fully honor the commitment we are reaffirming today. Our Heavenly Father has instructed us in Galatians 6, verse 10, that we should do good to all, especially those of the household of faith. In addition, Leviticus 19, verse 14 is of worthy note, which states, "Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but fear your God. I am the Lord." As the church, what are some of the strategies that we can use to demonstrate that we are committed to biblical diversity, which includes wholeheartedly caring for people with disabilities? Number one, we must continue to grow to become a space that is safe, supports growth, enable adaptation to accommodate and celebrate those who experience disabilities, both seen and unseen. Number two, acknowledge and celebrate the innate value of people with disabilities who are equally created in the image of God. John 9, 2-4 states, "Rabbi," his disciple asked him, "why was this man born blind? Was it because of his own sin or his parents' sins?" "It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins," Jesus answered. "This happened so that the power of God could be seen in him." Number three, provide practical tools and good practices to reduce inequalities regarding individuals with disabilities. Number four, intentionally utilize the gifts and talents of individuals with disabilities. Let's not lose sight of the wholeness that is present in the lives of those whose story is only marked in part by disability. Let's see way beyond disability and see their hearts and minds. 5. Give them the scope to use their voices where possible to articulate their own stories and to chart their own solutions to the degree that it is possible. 6. Implement policies and strategies for the safeguarding of people with disabilities. 7. Make the accommodation to ensure the full inclusion of people with disabilities. Gemma Haben, the deaf and blind woman who conquered Harvard, recently said, "Disability is not something an individual overcomes. No matter what, I'm still disabled. I'm still deaf and blind." People with disabilities are successful when we develop alternative techniques and our communities choose inclusion. Let me reiterate the latter clause of this comment.
Greetings, my name is Yvonne Pillai and I attend the Croydon branch. I have a disability. It is called fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia affects most of my life. It affects my walking, my standing, my sitting, and pretty much most of my everyday tasks. I have suffered with fibromyalgia since 2010. Not all disabilities are visible.
Not all disabilities are visible.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrina, I'm from the Derby branch. My disability, which is invisible, is called sickle cell anemia. Having sickle cell is always a challenge to do the day-to-day things. Having sickle cell and being in pain is hard, because you can't actually see where the pain is, you can just feel the pain, and it can be wherever the blood flows. Doing the day-to-day tasks for most can seem so simple, but for those with sickle cell can be so hard. Living with sickle cell completely drains me most days. Being in pain a lot of the time, but something I have to remember is that not all disabilities are visible.
Not all disabilities are visible.